Diener Augusto de Souza was a talented Brazilian footballer whose promising career was tragically cut short. In Brazil, his name is remembered by many, though he is less well known internationally. Diener is part of an almost hidden legend, mentioned alongside the greats of Brazilian football such as Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and Neymar. Even Pelé himself once compared his speed and skill to the flair of Ronaldinho and the efficiency of Ronaldo. His talent was so immense that he managed to impress prominent figures, such as Madonna, who once stood up mid-game just to applaud him. This player, known in his country as the God of Dribbling, tragically died at the age of 23, only days after signing a contract to move to Europe, and just 2 months before the start of the 1994 World Cup. His premature death left a huge void, not only in Brazilian football but in the world at large. Though Diener never played in the World Cup, his presence was destined to change his career forever. Ronaldo Nazario, who was called up in his place, did not play a single minute in that tournament, but it marked the start of his meteoric rise to becoming one of the greatest of all time. Many believe that if Diener had been there, his destiny would have been similar to Ronaldo's, or perhaps even greater, given the potential he displayed in every match. During my research on Diener, one moment truly moved me. I discovered that to this day, many people in Brazil continue to name their sons in his honor. While reviewing a football player's database, I noticed that there were no other players named Diener before his appearance in the national team. But after his death, dozens of footballers with his name emerged, particularly those born in the years following his passing. This fact demonstrates the impact he had on his country and how those who watched him play could never forget his talent. The first time the football world caught a glimpse of Diener's talent was in 1986. By then, at just 15 years old, he had lost his father and temporarily left football to help his mother with the family finances. However, a major youth football tournament in his hometown would change his destiny. The tournament was broadcast live on television, and 7,000 people attended the final, giving us an idea of the event's magnitude. Many important clubs sent scouts in search of young talent, and that's how Diener was discovered. He was offered a scholarship to play football, though he rarely attended classes. Essentially, they paid him just to play, which was already an indication of how aware he was of his talent. Diener quickly learned how to capitalize on his skill on the pitch. Instead of simply accepting what was offered, he began to negotiate and demand more money to play, extorting tournament organizers with threats of not showing up if they didn't pay him more. By the time the tournament final arrived, he was already earning more money playing football than he could in any conventional job. However, beyond his off-field tactics, it was his ability on the pitch that made him stand out. He won every trophy and award in the tournament, attracting the attention of major clubs. He eventually signed with Portuguesa, a club that allowed him to start his professional career. Nevertheless, once at Portuguesa, serious problems emerged. Diener came from a tough background, and his behavior reflected this. He was a true street kid. He often wouldn't return home, and his family could only be sure he was all right when they saw him play. Though known for his charisma and sense of humor, his neighborhood friends were involved in criminal activities, and that lifestyle began to influence his behavior. It's known that on one occasion he stole football boots, and he was often aggressive during matches. What truly alarmed everyone was when the police arrested him, accusing him of armed robbery, along with some of his friends. The club intervened to release him after 2 days, arguing that they would keep an eye on him. However, like many young people in that situation, Diener perceived this intervention as some form of impunity, rather than a second chance. Despite his problematic behavior, he continued to shine on the field. During a match against Palmeiras, he impressed defender Roberto Carlos so much that Carlos asked for his shirt at the end of the match. Diener, in a gesture of overflowing confidence, replied, "It's my debut. When you ask for my shirt again, it will be because I've played many matches." Despite his outstanding performances, Diener's life off the pitch continued to generate controversy. His lifestyle began to attract media attention, particularly when Brazil's under-23 team failed to qualify for the Olympics. Although players like Cafu and Roberto Carlos were part of that team, Diener was singled out as the main cause of the failure, which only increased media pressure on him. Diener had a carefree attitude towards his career. On one occasion, his coach revealed that he thought sleeping for 3 hours before a match was more than enough. And somehow it seemed true. One day, no one could find him before a crucial match against Santos. His absence caused panic among the coaching staff, who were already formulating a new game plan to compensate for his absence. However, shortly before the match began, Diener appeared as if nothing had happened and played as if he had never been missing. Although his team was losing 2-0 at halftime, Diener returned in the second half with a spectacular performance, leading his team to a historic 4-2 comeback victory. His teammates saw him as someone capable of achieving the impossible. After that memorable performance, Diener turned to them and said, "I am Diener, and everyone here needs to understand that." His words were not just a statement of confidence, but also a warning that he was destined for greatness, regardless of what others thought of his behavior off the field. However, not even his feats on the pitch were enough to divert attention from his erratic behavior. Over the course of the following year, he arrived at a training session in a car riddled with bullet holes and was caught hiding a knife in his sock, allegedly planning to attack a teammate. A newspaper went so far as to describe him as a brilliant vagabond, a talented player with self-destructive tendencies. Despite all the problems, some of the greats of Brazilian football, like the two-time world champion Zagallo, continued to insist that Diener deserved more chances. Yet, even his supporters knew he needed to distance himself from his surroundings and old friends to straighten out his career. Eventually, a loan deal was arranged with another club, Vasco De Gama, in the hope that a change of environment might help him to AT Vasco. Diener shone. He helped the team win the Rio de Janeiro State Championship, further increasing his value. However, his home club, Portuguesa, could no longer afford to keep him. The board even joked about handing the stadium over to the player, as his salary was higher than that of all his teammates combined. Diener Augusto de Souza was one of the brightest promises in Brazilian football in the early 1990s. Despite his short life, his legacy endures due to his immense talent on the pitch, his charming playing style, and the tragic circumstances surrounding his career. To many, Diener was a shooting star, whose potential and footballing quality left an indelible mark on Brazilian football. Diener was born on April 2, 1971 in São Paulo, Brazil, into a low-income family. Like many young boys in Brazil, he began playing football in the streets and was soon noticed for his natural ability to dribble and control the ball. His professional career took off quickly when he was scouted by Portuguesa, one of São Paulo's most traditional clubs, AT Portuguesa. Diener soon stood out. He caught the attention of fans and the media thanks to his playing style, which evoked Brazilian legends like Garrincha and Zico. His ability to dribble past defenders with ease, combined with his agility and creativity, earned him the nickname, the New Garrincha. He was a player with a unique vision of the game, capable of creating opportunities from nothing, and his technical ability set him apart from his teammates. Diener was a classic Brazilian footballer, full of creativity, audacity, and magic with the ball. His ability to perform unpredictable and bewildering dribbles made him almost impossible to mark. As a left winger, he had an innate ability to leave defenders behind with quick, subtle moves, allowing him to break through defenses and create goal-scoring opportunities for his teammates. He was a player who relished one-on-one situations and wasn't afraid to take risks with bold plays. Watching Diener play, one could sense the passion and joy he had for football. He was one of those players who played as if he were still on the streets, never losing the essence of the purest, most genuine Brazilian football. The fans adored him because he brought that spark and spectacle to the field. However, his talent wasn't limited to dribbling. He also possessed an exceptional vision of the game, with the ability to find spaces and assist his teammates. Despite his promising future, Diner's appearances with the Brazilian national team were limited due to his tragic death in 1994. He made his debut in 1991 under coach Paulo Roberto Falcao in a friendly match against Argentina. Although he did not have enough time to establish himself as a key figure in the squad, many saw him as a player who could have been crucial in future competitions, including the 1994 World Cup, which Brazil eventually won. His playing style perfectly aligned with the tradition of offensive and creative football that has always characterized Brazil. Many speculate that, had he lived and continued his footballing development, he would have become an important figure in the national team, on par with other greats like Romario or Bebeto. Despite his success in football, Diner's personal life was marked by several controversies and decisions that affected his career. His life off the pitch was complex, and like many young stars, he struggled to handle the fame and pressure that came with it. Additionally, some reports suggest that Diner had personal conflicts and found it difficult to strike a balance between his private life and his football career. The tragedy occurred in the early hours of April 19, 1994, when Diner died in a car accident in Rio de Janeiro at the age of 23. According to reports, Diner was asleep in the passenger seat while his friend was driving. The car, a Mitsubishi Eclipse, lost control and crashed into a tree. The impact was fatal for Diner, who died on the spot, trapped by his seatbelt. His death shocked the Brazilian football world and left his fans devastated by the loss of such a promising player. The accident raised many questions and speculations about the circumstances leading to his tragic death. Although it was never officially confirmed that Diner was involved in dangerous activities off the field, investigations into the accident sparked debates about the need for emotional and psychological support for young footballers facing the pressures of fame and success at an early age. Like many young talents, Diner had to deal with the challenges of early fame and the pressures that came with it. While he was known for his humility and closeness with his teammates, there were also episodes in his life that generated controversy. Some sources suggest that Diner struggled to adapt to life outside of football, and that his success led him into social circles that were not always beneficial for his personal well-being. One aspect that was always under scrutiny was his handling of fame and money. Like many young footballers, Diner found it difficult to deal with his new status as a star and the challenges that came with it. Despite his immense talent and potential, some close to him believed that his personal life and off-field decisions could have affected his career in the long run. Diner's death left a sense of what could have been in the history of Brazilian football. His tragic passing prevented fans and football experts from witnessing his development as a player and his impact on the Brazilian national team. Nevertheless, his legacy lives on among those who saw him play and in the clubs where he made his mark, such as Portuguesa and Vasco de Gama, the team he was playing for at the time of his death. In terms of playing style, many compared him to the great dribblers in Brazilian football history. Although his career was brief, his ability to captivate spectators and dazzle defenders left an indelible mark on those who watched him play. Despite his short life, Diner is still remembered as one of Brazilian football's greatest promises, and his name continues to resonate in the hearts of fans who mourn the loss of such a bright yet fleeting talent. His tragic story serves as a reminder of how unpredictable life can be and how football, like other fields, is full of stories of great potential cut short too soon. Diner Augusto de Souza was a star that shone brightly but briefly in the firmament of Brazilian football. His talent was undeniable, and many believe he could have been one of the greats, if not for the tragic circumstances surrounding his life. Though his career was short, his influence on football and his unique style of play remain in the memory of fans. Diner, despite the offers he received, decided to renew his contract with Portuguesa under a peculiar condition: that the club buy him a Mitsubishi Eclipse, a car difficult to obtain in Brazil due to strict import laws. When he finally got it, his spaceship, as he called it, became a symbol of his success. That's all for today. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for our next exciting content about the world of sports. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments. See you next time.